So sticking on the topic of babies, kinda, not exact. It's not the best transition ever, but anyways, moving on to the next story. New York is celebrating the legalization of mothers being able to have abortions up until the date of birth. I mean, so looking at that headline, if you were to scroll down your news feed and you saw that headline, even for the most pro-choice of pro-choice, adamant, protesters, whatever, fighters, Planned Parenthood lovers, that headline sounds a bit scary, right? And I agree it does, because I am that crazy, lefty, insane lib. That headline does sound scary. Because the honest truth is, at 9 months, at the date of birth, if you are aborting a baby at the date of birth, that baby is indeed a baby. I know people love to have the argument about when does a zygote become a baby, when does the egg become, all of that stuff. And yes, it is important to have those conversations, and I love those conversations. But there's no way you can tell me aborting a viable baby at 9 months is just, carefree, conscious free. And I don't like to put that on the woman that has to make those kind of decisions. But the reason I'm saying this is because that headline is deceiving, and that headline makes you think that the new law will allow mothers to abort viable babies all the way up until the date of birth. And I don't like the fact that those headlines do that, because it's just scaring people. It's getting people in an uproar, and who's going to read the fine details of this piece of legislation? I am, and that's why I'm talking about this story, and I'm here to educate the rest of you. So under the Reproductive Health Act, which is what was passed in New York, non-doctors are now allowed to conduct abortions, and the procedure could be done until the mother's due date if the woman's health is endangered or if the fetus is not viable. The previous law only allowed abortions after 24 weeks of pregnancy if a woman's life was at risk. So that's super important. So number one, the previous law allowed having late-term abortions if the mother's life was at risk. I think that's a no-brainer. It's the only person that should make the decision between my own life and the baby I'm about to give birth to's life is the person giving birth. I hate with a passion. You can believe what you think. You can think that it's murder if the mother decides to abort it instead of risking her own life. You can think whatever you want, but the choice has to be in the mother's hands, to the person it means the most to, because it's not your life that's at risk, it's that mother's life at risk. They could be the most cold-hearted mother, the most caring mother. It doesn't matter who the person is. It's their body. They make the decision. It's their life that they could lose if shit hits the fan. So that's just a no-brainer, and I don't want to continue with that. And then obviously, I just think that this isn't obvious. If the baby is not viable, if the doctor says that this baby is not viable, it is not going to be born. I mean, it is not going to be life, right? Of course, I think you should be able to have a late-term abortion. I think this piece of legislation is a no-brainer, and it frustrates me. And the only reason I'm up in a roar about this is because the headlines. You read these headlines, and you just you think of the worst, because it said it. And I'll put up some pictures of what these headlines are and what the pictures of they have when they use this headline. Mother can give abortion up until date of birth date, up until birth date. You gotta put a little more detail. Just I don't know. I'm not an editor. I know you want eyes on it, but most people are just going to look at that headline and say, holy shit, what is this world coming to now? Women are just murdering their babies the last minute. That's just not it. It's not it. It's not it. It's not it. So now you know. New York is legalized a piece of legislation that allows mothers who... that already, the law was already, if the mother's life is at risk, the mother gets to choose to have that abortion as late as up to the date of birth. And now it also, the mothers can have abortions and don't have to give birth to a non-viable baby. And you got to just think about the entire process of giving birth to a non-viable baby. Number one, you go through all the pain, all the ache, everything that comes with giving birth. You have to do, knowing that your baby, not your baby, that the fetus inside is not viable. It's a scary, scary thing. Mentally, it screws people up. If the mother wants to have an abortion and not deal with that late in their pregnancy, that should be her choice. And I think it's an obvious thing to allow for the mother to do. That is at least my 2 cents. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. When I said it first in the beginning, were you surprised? Because I just don't like those headlines. It scares people. It scares me, and I'm the most pro-choice human being, feminist, Planned Parenthood lover, whatever they could ever be. All right? I send my peace. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate this. If you guys were informed or educated in any way, shape, or form by these stories, please hit that like button. If you liked my presentation of the news, I really suggest you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time Q the Nurse drops some hot, fresh press news. Thank you. Catch you next week. Deuces.